All right. So, hey, Dr. Prothero. My name is Matthew Machuca. So for the term project presentation that I chose for the natural disaster event of the 1857 Fort Tejon earthquake. So this earthquake, this occurred in Southern California, or well, I guess not Southern California, but in California at least. So this was a magnitude 7.9 event that occurred on January 9th, 1857, and was estimated to have started around 8:20 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's based on USGS report from 2019. Also on this map here to the right, you can see, the location of Fort Tejon, where a lot of the stronger shaking was known to have occurred. And this lasted estimated around 1 to 3 minutes. And it was actually considered a larger displacement event than the event that occurred about 50 years later in the state in San Francisco. So, just kind of a little background, I guess, just on the geology of the fault on the San Andreas Fault. So, this event involved, rupture of the fault. Was estimated about 360 kilometers in length. So, this started near Parkfield and extended towards the south all the way near to Wrightwood. So also on the left here, I have an image shows just, the real world example of what, the right lateral strikes at fault like San Andreas would actually kind of look like in, if you went outside to look at one, how it happens. So, just talking about some of the effects on people and other communities, from this earthquake, we know that this is a magnitude 7.9, but also the other scale that we can use to look at earthquakes is the modified Mercalli intensity scale. Just sort of helps us understand what's happening towards buildings and people and other stuff, and tells a bit of a different story. So, the scale of this event was pretty massive. So, it actually lines up right here on 9 and is considered a violent event. And also on this map here below, shows kind of the star where the earthquake is sort of expected to have began. And this large area shows where a lot of that considerable damage and shaking were known to have occurred. And this map actually kind of shows a very large interval of space of area. It even includes out here, towards Las Vegas and so on and so forth. So some of the other effects that we see on the landscape around this area, such as, we go out to the Carrizo Plain, you see a large amount of offset, from just one event. So over here at Wallace Creek and the Carrizo Plain, in just this event alone, it experienced around 9 meters of offset. Actually, in the image up here, as I took last year, and it shows, the 120 meters of offset from, 10 plus earthquake events that were a similar size at least to cause this. And this image here from the California Geological Survey also just shows an aerial view of San Andreas Fault and where it cuts across Wallace Creek. So, some of the other stuff to take away from this is that tree location isn't exactly known as, greatly as we would today. We don't see a lot of the same modern equipment and computers and whatnot from in 1857, but through digging trenches around the area, such as here in this image to the right, showing at Pilot Creek, we can actually, well, I guess seismologists and geologists such as Carrie C. from Caltech was able to, reconstruct this event using paleoseismology to kind of look at the peat layers and determine, the extent of the damage from this sort of event. So, sort of the summary, I guess, of why this is important is it's one of the, more recent of the large scale earthquake events here on the San Andreas Fault. You see that it's a magnitude 7.9. We don't see that very often. So, this is kind of similar to what we might, expect in size for, the big one that we always talk about here in Southern California. And, we can use some of the evidence of what happened to the land San Andreas Fault from the 1857 earthquake and kind of help understand what could happen in these sort of events like this magnitude 7.8 that we might see when the San Andreas Fault finally releases some of this stress on the fault. And also, we can understand how impactful it can be. So, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And, here's the list of my references, and also in the background is a nice picture of the San Andreas Fault through the Carrizo Plain. So thank you very much.